you know about this term called coastal protection in Singapore?
Coastal what? Coastal what? Coastal what?
So, what exactly is coastal protection? Before we start, in the recent years, there's an increasing rate of global warming, which has caused a big impact to our environment, especially the melting of ice caps and leading to rising sea level. So this direct impact could be seen in daily life, especially in Singapore, with increasing rate of flash floods seen in recent years. So this means something, right? Yes, so PUBA has actually helped to reduce the impact of rising sea levels through implementing stone revetment and goans at sea. You all like to take pics there, right? But it's actually to help our coastline so that we won't flood and die. So having said that, how much do you know about coastal protection and knowledge about global warming? So let's find out.
Aware about this issue of rising sea levels?
Yes. 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 Yes.
So do you know why rising sea level occurs?
Biofuel and just burning of a lot of coal and stuff. Suddenly,
Weather is getting hotter, and then there are weather conditions that are out of the normal.
Greenhouse gases. I don't remember which country was it, but it was already. Some islands are disappearing. Yeah.
So how do you think rising sea levels will affect Singapore?
Because Singapore is a small dot, so actually the seas can what do you call that, flood our seas.
Considered one of the coastal countries. So maybe rising sea levels will affect areas like this, nearer to the coastal areas like Jurong Island stuff, which will be submerged in water, and then a lot of Jurong Island is basically like places where a lot of radioactive work happens, so it will really cause a big effect in our countries, and then it will really affect our economy and our lifestyle.
Will happen, the worst case scenario would be there will be a tsunami or something. Then it might affect, I think, let's say if the country is like north, south, east, west. Let's say if the tsunami comes from whichever direction it came from, most probably it will just take out the houses first. Then slowly it will just take out the HDB and all sorts of things.
Know this term called coastal protection?
Maybe.
Okay, then what do you think coastal protection is? Like just from the sound of it.
Yeah. Sounds like some patrolling. Yeah. Like some officers patrolling the coastal area. Kind of.
Protecting the coast from having too much water.
the measures are taken by the government to solve this. I mean, not solve, just prevent sea level rising.
Yeah, to affect the ratings.
Okay. Do you think as individuals, what can we do to slow the rate of rising sea levels?
Then we can do something called CCOs, like CCS, and it's called like carbon storage capture system. So that might just help absorb the greenhouse gases faster.
We can reduce our carbon footprint, and we try to shop at more eco-friendly stores. Yeah. Instead of having a lot of plastic bags, maybe we can cut it down and reuse and reduce recycle. Yeah.
Individual can do a simple part where they are saving electricity or eat lesser meats, or maybe can use recycled materials instead of using cotton and stuff, so which can reduce the amount of energy that uses in the which can prevent climate change.
More public transport, and also to
Okay, do you think countries and governments can do to slow down the rate of rising sea level or combat climate change?
Well, first they need to advocate it because a lot of people are unaware. I only know like a little bit. They don't know the full details as well. So government should advocate for it first.
And just increasing the recycling initiative, yes.
I think the government can set limitations and also encourage their own citizens to reduce waste, and also to reduce our own carbon footprint in terms of our air conditioning.
Make the public transport free and stuff, so that people really won't use cars, motorbikes as much as public transport, because public transport I think they run on diesel, but then most of the cars and motorbikes run on petrol, so which will cause climate change and stuff. I think they can they can really take a lot of efforts, like maybe control the clothing, because I think cotton production is quite high, so they can really control them. Maybe they can put a bit of effort more in the reduce and recycle strategy.
Now that we know what youth think about rising sea level and coastal protection in Singapore, let's get some opinions and views about local activists in Singapore who can give us a better understanding about this topic.
So my name is Xiang Tian, and I'm the co-founder of Lepak NFG. So Lepak NFG is an informal environmental group. We were started about 5 years ago we started 5 years ago as an environmental calendar of events. We've done workshops on different issues, so like from marine conservation to like climate change, waste, government publications. Yeah, so like we're kind of like a general environmental group. So the basic crash course is climate change is caused by release of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. So greenhouse gases, most commonly is carbon dioxide, but there are more potent ones like sulfur oxides, nitrous oxides, methane. Then where does the greenhouse gases come from, right? So I think there are 3 main sources. So like animal agriculture, for example. When you have a bunch of animals, like there are like there's 7 billion humans on the planet, but there are about 70 billion farm animals. So every day, like the farm animals will have to eat. Then when they eat, like let's say it's a cow lah. A cow has 4 stomachs, right? So they produce a lot of methane. And they fart, they burp. All these produce methane. Yeah. So animal agriculture is one big driver of climate change. And the others would be like burning fossil fuels for like energy, for transport. Yeah. And for electricity. Sea levels can flood Singapore. Well, not flood the whole of Singapore lah, but it will flood parts of Singapore. A huge chunk of Singapore will be flooded. So you can see like from Marine Parade, I think Jurong Island that side also. I think some parts of the west. Basically will be flooded. Some parts at like high tide plus storm surge. Yeah. So like okay, let's say you live in Marine Parade, right? Can you imagine like maybe like once a month your house keep getting flooded, you also don't want to stay there already. Right? So basically reservoir water is fresh water, like from the rain. And our water treatment plants at the reservoirs, right, are not meant to remove salt from the water. So let's say you have a storm surge and then the seawater goes into a reservoir. That whole reservoir is contaminated, you can't drink anymore. Because the technology or the water treatment technology available there is not desalination, so they cannot remove the salt. Yeah. So there are like nature-based ones and there's like the human engineering ones. So nature-based, then continue? For like companies and stuff like that, you need to see like what do they care about. Yeah, I mean they care about their profits, but they also care about like brand image and things like that. So like as a consumer or like as a social media user, what can you do to make sure that like that you encourage them to shift towards a low carbon future? Comes out with a template. Then at like a certain day or a certain hour, everyone posts the same thing. Then you flood a certain hashtag. So it could be a government hashtag, it could be like a company hashtag. Yeah. And then like actually it's quite amusing. I think there's this hashtag called Climate Action SG. Then I think a year ago, there was this like social media online protest kind of thing. Oh, online climate strike, that's what they call it. Yeah. So yeah, like the government has this hashtag called Climate Action SG, and like you can see like a lot of it is like, oh, I use my bike when I go to work, or like I turn off the lights that are not in use, that kind of thing. Then like suddenly there's a whole bunch of posts like, okay, Singapore needs to go net zero, like, and yeah, a lot of posts are like asking for stronger climate action.
Hello everybody, I'm Swati. I'm a youth delegate for the Singapore Youth for Climate Action, which is a youth collective that advocates for climate change and actions related to creating positive environmental impact. I'm particularly part of the team that's looking at the international climate change negotiations as part of the Paris Agreement. I'm very passionate about sustainability and environment, and I'm currently working as a sustainability business analyst for an organization that deals with waste based here in Singapore. And going forward, maybe even nature-based solutions to manage this sort of rise of sea level. So that will be the physical and direct impact that will have on Singapore, which is its land will be, either on risk of erosion or submergence. The second more indirect consequence for Singapore is going to be the impact on the supply chains. So as different countries in the world also have this and will be adapted to different levels, your food chain, your water supply, everything will be impacted as a consequence to rising sea levels. So if Singapore imports its meat from Malaysia and its fruits from Australia, those supply chains will deeply be impacted because it's a global community. We don't live in isolation, and we are not a subsistence nation. So going forward, Singapore will experience both of these impacts because of rising sea levels. I think as an individual, there are so many ways that you can contribute to making sure you're being part of the industry and the sector that is trying to change. So, one simple way is to start by calculating what your impact is based on the choices you make. I think that awareness will take you a long way to understand how you can actually change your actions. So, for example, using public transportation, and using transportation that is considered more green and shared is a great way. Reducing consumption of meat, having a meatless Monday, those are really good ways because the impact of a beef patty is quite a lot. So you once you understand where your impact is coming from, you can make those changes. Taking less flights. I mean, not that we have an option right now in COVID, but changing your aviation patterns is a great way to contribute and understand how your impact is. Sourcing products that are ethically made, that are fair trade, that are part of, they're offsetting themselves and really creating themselves to be a good brand. Those are really good important actions for you as an individual to take to support an industry that is growing and struggling and needs to be backed up by people who believe in what they're trying to do.
Dr. Parvati from Green in Future, and this is Dara. She's my partner from Green in Future as well. We are a global media company, and we contribute towards sustainable green future.
A trainer with her, and I train in different faculties like using recycled items to make something better for the kids. We do trainings at schools and individually also for corporate people. Then we use making own body products, skin care, hair care products without using any chemicals. Then we do art and craft as well using the recycled items. Of course, because around 15% of the population resides in the coastal areas. Overall, I mean, throughout the world. So it is a bigger threat. If the sea levels rise, it can harm human living, then harm to the culture, marine culture as well. Then it will definitely harm economically. It will harm the infrastructure that has been built over those areas.
That's from one itself. Like myself, as an individual, I should start from myself itself. I have to change myself. How I use the things, like say no to the single-use plastics and start repurposing the things, like recycling things, and don't waste things that is you don't need. And maybe you can say be a minimalist for the future, and don't buy overly. And also you can do recycling at home as well as in the public places. So recycling at home is a must. Everybody should start it from the young age. They should start. But now the government is doing so many things like citizens awareness campaigns and all that stuff to recycle. So people are aware of that, and even the kindergarten kids are like started doing pledging on the recycling things, and there are many campaigns that is happening. That is a good thing that government is doing, and it is important for the planet Earth as well.
So with that, I hope you learned something new, and only you can decide to protect your coast today.